Hi everyone. So our presentation will discuss communication development for children within the Tea Tree Gully Council area with comparisons to the Unley and Salisbury councils. Communication development can be understood in terms of receptive language skills, which refer to a child's language comprehension, and expressive language skills, which refer to communication that is understood by others, including gestures, vocalizations, and facial expressions. Communication development occurs within a social context through interaction with nurturing and responsive caregivers. Social and economic inequities across geographic regions can affect the kinds of environment that best supports communication development.
The city of Tea Tree Gully has an area of 85 square kilometres and is located 9 to 25 kilometres from Adelaide CBD. 40,000 households are located in this area. Tea Tree Gully has a population of 95,536. Of these individuals, 5,330 are children aged 0 to 4, making up 5.6% of the population. Of these children, 98.3% attend preschool or kindergarten, and 66.5% are involved in a playgroup. According to the Australian Early Development Census 2018, it's the important adults in a child's life that influence their communication development, and each interaction stimulates the child's developing brain and helps to build foundations for their future. According to the Social Health Atlas 2018, 66 children, 5.9%, in Tea Tree Gully are in the vulnerable category for communication development, and 163 children, 14.5%, fall into the at-risk category, whereas 892 children, 79.6%, have been considered to be on track. This information can be contrasted to the South Australian averages to determine the typical communication development and how Tea Tree Gully compares. In 2018, 8.4% of South Australian children were vulnerable to communication development, and 13.8% were at risk. The vulnerable category for Tea Tree Gully is 2.5% lower than the South Australian percentage, meaning children are slightly less likely to develop communication issues in that council area. Alternatively, the percentage of at-risk children in Tea Tree Gully are 0.7% higher than the state average. Therefore, children are slightly more at risk of a communication developmental problem than in other council areas in South Australia. A large portion of South Australian children, 77.8%, are considered to be on track in terms of their communication development. Tea Tree Gully scored 2% higher and therefore can be classified slightly above average.
Play is a facilitator in development and learning, and more specifically plays an essential role in social and emotional development in children. Play consists of many crucial things that assist in social development, such as peer interaction, obtaining the positive feeling of being part of a group, enabling the ability to interact with different kinds of individuals, and more. Consequently, it is likely that it's very important that children attend preschool to ensure that they gain these skills that will stick with them throughout their life. Therefore, a key social issue that may impact children in Tea Tree Gully is that only just over half of the children, 55%, are enrolled in preschool. This means that the other 45% of children are disadvantaged socially and may not gain those critical social skills early on in life. Moreover, the AEDC results for 5 different domains have increased in the vulnerable category from 2009 to 2018. Over time, the number of children being vulnerable in the domain of social competence has increased from 88 to 95. Furthermore, the number of children that are vulnerable in the domain of communication skills and general knowledge have increased from 54 to 61 children. Additionally, the language and cognitive skills have increased from 36 to 49. According to the Social Health Atlas of Australia, the number of children that are in low-income, welfare-dependent families is 3,036. Considering that there are 5,330 children aged 0 to 5 in Tea Tree Gully, this means that 56% of children are in families with a low income. Health and Welfare states that an imperative determinant of health and well-being is socio-economic factors. Therefore, this relatively large portion of children that are at a higher risk of obtaining poor health have higher rates of illness, disability, and death. Furthermore, their families may not be able to afford treatment or medicine, proper nutritious food, or sustainable living, putting their health at a higher risk.
The Australian Early Development Census, AEDC, states that children living in Salisbury in 2018 displayed a significantly higher score of vulnerability than Tea Tree Gully in both language and communication areas. Salisbury had a high percentage of children that were vulnerable in areas of language, the percentage being 8.5%, whereas Tea Tree Gully's percentage of children vulnerable in areas of language is much lower, with only 4.6%. The percentage of children developmentally vulnerable in areas of communication in Salisbury was 11.7%, which is significantly higher than Tea Tree Gully at 5.8%. The key factors between Tea Tree Gully and Salisbury is that Salisbury has, in general, a lower socio-economic class than Tea Tree Gully. In 2018, there were 88.2% of children from Tea Tree Gully that completed some form of post-school qualifications. However, only 74.6% of children from Salisbury did. This could be due to the lower levels of communication and language the children are exposed to from a young age. Furthermore, a key factor influencing the communication levels of children in Salisbury and Tea Tree Gully are the language and cultural differences. In 2018, Salisbury had 35.9% of children where English is their second language, suggesting that the suburb is very culturally diverse. Learning English as a second language would hinder the language and communication levels dramatically. Tea Tree Gully has a much smaller percentage of only 14.6 children who learn English as a second language. Another key factor that could contribute to reduced language and communication skills are the learning types that children between age 0 to 5 are exposed to. In 2018, Tea Tree Gully had a percentage of 66.5 children that attended playgroups outside of kindergarten or daycare, allowing the children to practice and improve their communication with other children their age and practice their language skills. Salisbury had a lower percentage of 41.3 children who attended playgroup in 2018, which could be a key factor in discovering why Salisbury's language and communication skills are lower than Tea Tree Gully's.
Children developmentally vulnerable in areas of language for Unley is 3.5% compared to Tea Tree Gully's of 4.6%. The percentage of children developmentally vulnerable in communication for Unley is 2.5%, whereas Tea Tree Gully is much higher at 5.8%. This substantial difference may be due to several factors, the first being population. Unley has 2,052 children aged between 0 to 5, whereas Tea Tree Gully is much larger at 5,858 children. This indicates that there are more children exposed to developmental vulnerabilities in Tea Tree Gully. When a community such as Unley is small, it is easier to create change just amongst a few individuals to impact the overall score, whereas within a larger community it is much harder. Two important factors to consider are social and health contributions. Socio-economic status can contribute to opportunities provided to children, including healthcare, prevention, and education. In 2017, the median total household income for Unley was $56,000, compared to Tea Tree Gully at $49,000. Another factor is parental encouragement. The early years are crucial for the healthy development of a child's brain and well-being. Therefore, parents play a significant role as a child's first teacher. In 2016, 42.7% of parents in Unley completed a bachelor degree, while only 17.4% did in Tea Tree Gully. This suggests that there may be more encouragement from the Unley families to create a positive learning environment in the home, contributing to child communication and language skills. Whereas the lower level of educational experience of Tea Tree Gully parents could potentially lead to low aspirations for their children. Learning disabilities may also impact a child's language and communication skills. Unley in 2018 had 10 children with special needs status and 34 requiring assistance, while Tea Tree Gully had 70% with special needs and 138 requiring extra assistance. Evidently, the high percentage of children with special needs contributes to Tea Tree Gully's communication vulnerabilities.
According to research on the social determinants of health, higher income families will strive to offer their children a higher level of education. This may also be true for enrolment in preschool. Statistical data for Tea Tree Gully shows that fewer children are enrolled in preschool compared with other council areas, which can have significant implications for social learning and therefore for communication development. Speech pathologists should be aware of the interaction or lack of interaction that their clients have with other children their age in order to best support their communication development. Without enough exposure to communication with others and consistent linguistic input, a child's receptive and expressive language skills may be hindered. Implications might include the child having difficulty with copying and learning from others, and difficulty in being understood by peers and unfamiliar people. Overall, data for communication development shows that Tea Tree Gully's percentages of children in vulnerable and at-risk categories are mostly reflective of South Australia's average findings, although there has been an increase in the percentages of vulnerable children within the domain of communication and language skills over time. The lower the occurrence of health issues and special needs, as well as higher family income and education attainment, suggests better health outcomes. Higher attendance in preschool and playgroups may also contribute to better outcomes for communication development.